around the world recognize now that there are some problems with India? Because it never used to be.
Yeah, I think it's now globally accepted that I think, you know, our GDP numbers need some, you know, looking at carefully. So the answer to your question is 4.5, 4.5. You see, I can't be precise, but as we go through the indicators that we're going to go through now, you know, to look at the more detailed macro indicators, you know, you get the impression that in fact maybe even 4.5 is paints a picture, rosier picture than the underlying reality.
That is shocking, because I would be feeling awful about the country if it's growing at 4.5%. I mean, it's back to my old school Raj Krishna days. And it could still be really 3%. That is just horrifying.
I can't give a number, but as we go through the indicators, we'll see that, you know, in fact, it is something, what we're going through, as you said, is the great slowdown. It's something that probably we haven't seen for a very long time, 20, 30 years. You know, the real economy is in, it's not just any ordinary slowdown.
You know, I really feel that's the point that you highlight in this paper, and I don't think everybody's understood the magnitude of the problem. I knew we're in bad shape, but till I read your paper, I felt that was a problem. And look at some of the indicators that make you even question whether 4.5 is correct. 4.5 is depressingly low, but if it's lower than that, and some of these indicators suggest that, just look at this. If you look at imports, how bad is the Indian economy? Imports are almost as bad as 30 years ago. As you were saying, that we haven't seen such bad indicators for the last 3 decades. So in the current growth, imports are down 6%. And capital goods industry, really important, it's almost a proxy for investment, down 10%. Now, when you've got -6 and -10, you have to go back 30 years to find things similar. Look at that. Imports, okay, minus 16%, little more. Capital good industry, -9, very comparable. And what was the growth rate 30 years ago? 1.1 with those kind of figures. So when we look at the figures today, -6 and -10, what is the GDP growth? Is it really 4.5? Based on the comparison, you'd have to question it.
See, I think, you know, many, not just, there's also export figures, consumer goods figures, tax revenue figures. In fact, in the paper, what we do is that we take all these indicators and then say, let's look at, you know, a previous era of a slowdown, which was 2000, 2002. Yeah. There, what you find is that even though the GDP growth around then was 4.5, all these indicators were actually in positive territory. It's only you have to go back to 91 when growth was, you know, close to 1%.
I want you to repeat that. In the terrible slowdown of 2001, 2002, these two indicators were actually marginally positive.
And others.
And others were marginally positive, and you still had 4.5% with positive. Now it's negative, and you have to go back 30 years to find that.